Hello everyone, Salam, Namaste, Adab, and welcome to today's event. It's our pleasure to introduce three professors from Aligarh Muslim University. Today's main speaker is Professor Vibha Sharma from Department of English, Aligarh Muslim University. She will be formally introduced by Professor Jahangir Warsi Saab, who is from Department of Linguistics. And the concluding remarks will be given by Professor Rizwan Khan, a senior professor in Department of English. And the title is Rethinking the Idea of the University in the 21st Century. These are three very senior professors, very much engaged. At least one Professor Vibha Sharma I have met a couple of times. She is extremely visible in the campus on so many fronts, especially on the culture, drama club, public relations, besides her theater and teaching. So welcome you all, and now I invite Professor Jahangir Warsi Saab, who coincidentally he has joined WashU probably not at the same time when I was there, and he was awarded by WashU also. Besides, he has many other awards to his credit. He is a well-known linguist, and he has contributed a lot in the discipline. So, Warsi Saab, at least we have something common. WashU, I was in the medical school, WashU, as a senior researcher, and you were probably a young student there then, in 84 to 87 period, if you were there. So, welcome for today's event.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
आपकी वॉल्यूम थोड़ा कम है जी
Thank you, sir. अब आवाज आ रही सर?
चलिए ठीक है that's okay there is some okay that's okay
Okay, thank you very much, Raji Sahab. Very good morning from American time. Good evening by Indian time. Assalamu alaikum. And extremely honored to be here and to say a few words about a topic that has been chosen by the Indian diaspora, Washington DC, like very timely, very relevant, very pertinent, that we have to think in a broader way and what is going to be the idea of the university in 21st century. Thank you very much for giving me the time and the space for talking about this very important topic, particularly with the scholars of the repute like Professor Rizwan Khan sir. He was my teacher when I was doing my BA, so he taught me compulsory English at that time, long back. And the eminent scholar, expert, the award winning, I could say, the president recently awarded her for the best faculty award, Professor Vibha Sharma. With eminent colleagues throughout the globe, those who are watching in India and abroad, Assalamu alaikum once more. So the topic I have been asked to introduce is a challenging job for me. I don't know from where to start, but what I have in my mind, I wanted to share with you, all my seniors and juniors and all the audience, that the first Quranic revelation, the Surah Al-Alq, begins with the command Iqra, which means read. But Iqra is not just about reading. It is a call to reflect, understand, and think critically. This timeless principle reminds us that education is not about memorizing facts, but about learning to question, reason, and engage deeply with ideas. This was also the vision of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, who founded Aligarh Muslim University to create an environment where students could hold science in one hand and the Quran in the other. For him, knowledge and ethics, reason and faith were not opposing forces. They were complementary tools to prepare students to engage with the world responsibly, intelligently, and ethically. This vision is universal. It applies to all students regardless of their religion, culture, or background. Our ancient wisdom traditions also emphasize this holistic understanding of education. A well known Sanskrit sloka beautifully offers a timeless framework for education that is highly relevant to universities even today. Vidya dadati vinayam, vidya dhyati patratam, patvat dhanam apnoti, dhanat dharmam tata sukham. This famous Sanskrit sloka meaning knowledge gives humility. From humility comes worthiness. From worthiness one attains wealth. From wealth comes righteousness. And from righteousness comes happiness ultimately. It emphasizes that true education is not just about learning facts but fostering humility, leading to capability, wealth, virtuous conduct, and ultimately the happiness. This happiness is the inner happiness that one feels to share with others or propagate among others. In the 21st century, universities are expected not only to produce a skilled professional but also responsible, ethical, and socially aware citizens. The ultimate goal of education in the 21st century is not only employability but well being, purpose, and social harmony. This message reminds us that education must cultivate character along with competence. This is exactly what universities in the 21st century must aim for. As we will talking more about the ideas, I would like to share a quote often attributed to the Roosevelt that small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, and great minds discuss ideas. The ideas that we are going to discuss, to share with each other, and to talk about the ideas, which is very important and relevant in today's discussion. However, universities today face many challenges. Students are often overwhelmed by information and focus on regards or job preparation rather than understanding. Courses are taught in isolation, preventing students from seeing connections across subjects. Ethical and moral development is often neglected, leaving a student skilled but disconnected from values and society. We need to educate young minds that no subject exists in isolation. Science students need communication and ethics. Arts students need social and quantitative knowledge. Engineering students need societal awareness, and business students need psychology and law. Yet, universities often teach these subjects separately. This reveals that critical gap between classroom learning and practical application. In short, every subject matters because it equips students with the tools to solve real world problems. Learning in isolation may help students pass exams, but it does not prepare them to apply knowledge where it really counts, like treating a patient, building a bridge, leading a company, or even addressing social issues. This is the critical gap universities must bridge. Modern universities also face language and cultural barriers. Students from different linguistic or cultural backgrounds struggle to participate fully in discussions or express their ideas. Teachers, although experts in their subjects, are not always trained to manage multicultural, multilingual classrooms, which limits opportunities for meaningful engagement. To address these gaps, universities need to rethink curriculum, policies, and training. Curriculum should be interdisciplinary, including debates, discussions, and project based learning to encourage critical thinking, collaboration, and reflection. Ethics and social responsibility must be embedded in every subject. Policies should promote research with social impact, experiential learning, and community engagement, connecting students to real world challenges. Faculty and students should be trained in inclusive teaching, critical thinking, communication, and ethical reasoning. This ensures that classrooms are engaging, participatory, and responsive to students' diverse needs. Technology and digital tools such as online learning platforms, virtual labs, collaborative software, and simulations can greatly enhance education by connecting students with knowledge and peers around the world. They enable international collaboration, allowing students to work on projects with global teams, like our alumni and other academic institutions, share ideas across cultures, and learn from different perspectives. Universities can also embrace multilingual learning, peer collaboration, and problem solving workshops to help students overcome language and cultural barriers, ensuring every student can thrive academically and morally. It's a high time and need of the hour that we must ask ourselves as educators, are we producing critical thinkers or just job seekers? Are we teaching information or wisdom? Can scientific and technological progress exist without ethical responsibility? A 21st century university following Sir Sayyid's vision is not merely a place for degrees, it is a space where curriculum, policy, and training work together to intellect, ethics, and innovation. It is a space where students reflect, question, debate, and grow, becoming responsible, capable, and socially conscious citizens ready to face the challenges of our rapidly changing world. As we look forward, the future of education, rethinking the idea of the university in the 21st century is not just about updating courses or introducing new technology. It is about creating a space where knowledge, ethics, critical thinking, and creativity come together. Following Sir Syed Ahmad Khan's vision, universities can empower students to question, reflect, and engage with the world responsibly. Only when we balance learning with values, inquiry with ethics, and science with reflection can a university truly fulfill its mission in the 21st century, which should aim producing not just graduates but thoughtful, capable, and socially conscious citizens who will shape a better future for all. With these words, I would like to introduce a person who is best suited to reflect on this very important topic. I mean, I would like to say a few words before I invite Professor Vibha Sharma to share her thought. She is a perfect choice to speak on this topic, is a distinguished scholar, researcher, and cultural leader in the Department of English at Aligarh Muslim University. She currently serves as the member in charge Public Relations Office, where she plays a pivotal role in shaping the university's academic outreach and public image. Recipient of National Teacher Award 2025, she is acclaimed for her intellectual depth, research, mentorship, creative pedagogy, and institutional vision. Getting this award is a dream for any faculty members at national level. She is great scholar and great researcher who has served many years of her academic life here in Aligarh Muslim University. Her work spans an impressive interdisciplinary range encompassing theatre and performance studies, translation studies, Indian English literature, cultural studies, environmental humanities, and English language teaching. A prolific academic, Professor Sharma has presented papers and delivered numerous lectures at several international and national conferences, and her research has been published in leading journals and edited volumes across the world. A committed researcher and mentor, Professor Sharma has successfully supervised around 20 doctoral scholars, guiding them in areas such as post colonial theory, theatre, environmental literature, and translation studies. Her sustained engagement with research has made a significant contribution to AMU's academic reputation, particularly in developing critical and creative intersections between literature, culture, and society. Since 2013, she has served as visiting faculty at Stockholm University, Sweden, and has been awarded prestigious international fellowship to Germany, Japan, Chile, and neighboring countries like Nepal, besides presenting her research in Spain and Australia. She successfully completed her tenure as Deputy Coordinator of DRS UGC SAP Phase 2 program. This is very important and prestigious academic program by University Grant Commission on translation studies, where she pioneered efforts for towards establishing a post-colonial translation discourse and nurturing a new generation of translators and comparative literature scholars. Professor Sharma conceptualized and coordinated the Gyan course, unraveling a problem of history, exploring African and Indian writing. This Gyan is an abbreviation of Global Initiative of Academic Networks being offered by Ministry of Education, Government of India, where every scholar expert of this program has to be a foreign scholar. So this is an exchange program where we invite an international scholar of highly expert in their respective areas. A landmark academic initiative connecting post-colonial literature through shared histories of resistance and creativity. Her Swam MOOC course, Studies in Theatre, is widely recognized for democratizing access to performance studies in India and blending theoretical inquiry with practice-based learning. Deeply involved in theatre, Professor Sharma is presently the mentor of the AMU Drama Club at the Cultural Education Center, having earlier served as its president. She has directed and mentored numerous theatrical productions, transforming the campus into a space for artistic dialogue and cultural reflection. As a resource person for English Access Mac to Scholarship Program, she has worked extensively to empower underprivileged learners through language and creative expression. Her academic leadership extends to international collaborations in teacher training and literary research projects. She has been awarded scholarships by the Regional English Language Officer American Center to pursue advanced courses at the University of Maryland and the University of Oregon, enhancing her engagement with cutting edge pedagogical practices. So, with these few words, I would like to invite Professor Vibha Sharma, who is going to speak on the idea of rethinking the idea of university in the 21st century. So, with these words, over to you, Professor Sharma, and its floor is yours now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Varsi, for such an elaborate introduction. I am sure that this is merely a formality. Please don't believe whatever has been said, because I know there isn't much to speak, then these things can fill in. But I must add few things about Professor Varsi. He talked about Global Initiative of Academic Networks. It is a very prestigious program, and he is the coordinator of this program in our university. And more than 100 programs have taken place, which means more than 100 scholars have been invited to our university due to his efforts. And I also owe it to him that he, helped us out in doing that. So I'm very much thankful to Washington DC diaspora for giving me this platform. It has been a long due promise, and I'm very happy that I could finally make it here. And this is a topic which I would have loved to discuss globally. So here I chose this platform because this is a platform of, diverse people where academics, alumni, doctors, teachers, students, businessmen, and other civil society people are the audience. So I did not want this to remain confined as an idea, which is something being discussed among the academics and professors. Here, we all opinions matter. So this was something that I kept aside for Washington DC diaspora platform, and I'm happy that it has materialized today. And I'm being guided by two very wonderful co-panelists in my talk, and that would be something I'm really looking forward to. And I'm happy that Professor Varsi has highlighted wonderful things about this area of studies and area of intervention that will help me in giving a direction to what I wanted to say. So the topic as it has, the most important word for me in this topic is the idea, because we are not discussing university at any other level, but as an idea. So the three keywords that guide me through this discussion are mediation, livelihood, and the ethics of thought. So what I'm doing is I will be discussing these ideas from various perspectives, and then we will come back to the 21st century. So we'll take a whole, a kind of a mapping of the history of this word. So first thing is why the idea of the university still matters. The university is among the most enduring and self-reflecting institutions created by human societies. Unlike other social structures such as markets, states, and technologies, the university has historically carried the responsibility to ask why it exists, whom it serves, and what kind of human beings it seeks to form. This reflexive quality has allowed the university to survive civilizational shifts, political upheavals, and epistemic revolutions. Yet, in the 21st century, the university faces a paradox. Never before has it been so productive, visible, and socially central, yet, never before has its underlying idea seemed so uncertain. The contemporary university is expected to produce employable graduates, measurable research, immediate solutions, and public legitimacy, often simultaneously. Under these conditions, the question of the university's purpose risks being reduced to efficiency, output, and relevance. And I must speak one disclaimer here that uh, I'm not talking about only India, because I'm talking about the idea. I'm not talking about any specific university. So my presentation is arguing that university has always functioned as a mediating institution between knowledge and action, thought and livelihood, slowness and urgency, and inheritance and innovation. The 21st century does not invalidate this role, rather, it intensifies it. To rethink the idea of the university today is, therefore, for me, not to abandon its past, but to understand how its deepest commitments must be re articulated under new historical pressures. So, let us have a look at the contemporary university structure. I can call it a structural and conceptual diagnosis. Any serious reflection on the university must begin with a clear diagnosis of its current structure. Across much of the world, the contemporary university is shaped by four dominant and interlocking logics. The first is university functions as a credentialing institution because it creates credentials for those who are participating in it. So, university functions as a credentialing institution. Degrees serve as signals in competitive labor markets, promising mobility, employability, and economic security. For millions of students, especially first generation learners, higher education is not an abstraction but a matter of survival. This function is neither trivial nor regrettable. Livelihood is definitely a moral concern, and it is connected to dignity and autonomy of any human being. However, when credentialing becomes the dominant narrative, education risks becoming transactional. Learning is seen as complete once certification is obtained. Disciplines are valued primarily for their market relevance. Curiosity is subordinated to calculation. The university begins to appear as a transitional station rather than a lifelong intellectual home. Second aspect is the university has become a knowledge production enterprise. Research output is quantified through metrics, ranked by global indices, and evaluated by visibility and impact. This has undoubtedly expanded scientific and technological capability, yet it has also reshaped intellectual life. Speed, now that's something very crucial for me. Speed is rewarded over reflection, productivity over patience, accumulation over interpretation. Knowledge circulates as data faster than it can be meaningfully understood. Third aspect is the university is managed organization governed by audits, strategic plans, and regulatory frameworks. Administrative rationalities is necessary for large institutions, but it also fragments academic time. It also alters scholarly risk. Intellectual uncertainty, which should be central to inquiry, can appear inefficient or costly with managerial cultures. And the fourth aspect is the university is a publicly visible institution expected to respond promptly to social crisis, political debates, and national priorities. This visibility signals trust, yet it also creates tension between deliberation and immediacy, expertise and opinion, and independence and responsiveness. So, taken together, these structures do not indicate any decline, they indicate a shift in emphasis. The contemporary university is powerful, productive, and socially indispensable, but its dominant idea increasingly privileges outcomes over judgment, speed over depth, and utility over formation. So, this is the present contemporary idea. Now, let us look at some classical foundations, the classical ideas about universities, or I can say education as orientation and formation. The earliest philosophical reflections on education do not view learning as skill acquisition. In classical antiquity, education was understood as the formation and shaping of perception, judgment, and character. In Plato's philosophy, education is described as a turning of the soul towards truth. In the Republic, the metaphor of light and darkness conveys a precise epistemic claim, which is ignorance is not a lack of information, but a misorientation of understanding. Education reorders attention, enabling individuals to distinguish appearance from reality and opinion from knowledge. Crucially, for Plato, education is inseparable from public life. The educated individual is not merely knowledgeable, but also capable of judgment, governance, and ethical responsibility. Education prepares citizens not only to work, but also to deliberate, to rule, and to care for the common good. So, the earliest idea of education thus already mediates between thought and action. Comparable insights emerge in Asia also. Institutions such as Nalanda embodied a civilizational vision of learning as integrated and cosmopolitan. Philosophy, medicine, logic, linguistics, and governance were studied together without rigid disciplinary boundaries. Nalanda produced monks, physicians, diplomats, and administrators not by tailoring curricula to jobs, but by cultivating intellectual depth. Livelihood was not opposed to learning, it was dignified by it. So these are two classical models, classical reference point that I have. I thought would be good to share here because they have a very, very important impact in the entire world, and we can see that. Now we see how this formation of the modern university took place, the idea of modern university. Modern articulation of the university gained popular philosophical clarity in the 19th century, particularly through Wilhelm von Humboldt. Humboldt's concept of Bildung emphasized the formation of autonomous individuals through the unity of teaching and research. For him, education was not preparation for specific function, but the cultivation of freedom, the capacity to think independently, critically, and responsibly. This insight was elaborated with exceptional nuance by John Henry Newman in The Idea of a University, which is a very famous book of 1852. Newman's assertion that knowledge is capable of being its own end has often been misunderstood as a rejection of usefulness. In fact, Newman's argument, his argument is that knowledge is capable of being its own end. Means if you acquire knowledge, it serves for itself. You don't need to subordinate it to something, some kind of certificate or job like that. But it should not be misunderstood. He is not rejecting the idea of usefulness. In fact, his argument is deeply practical. He believed that a liberal education forms a habit of mind with clarity, proportion, patience, and fairness that enhances performance in every profession. So, Newman warned against reducing education to immediate utility, not because usefulness is undesirable, but because narrow usefulness undermines judgment. I can explain this with a very simple example that humanities students or humanities departments or social science departments are often asked for what they contribute to the universities. Like, a parent or a person who is coming to seek admission would try to compare what is the placement engineering students have placement, medical students have placement, or the professional courses. We have, divisions of professional and non-professional courses. So what about the placement of, let us say, an English honors student? So this is that immediacy that we are talking about. You know, immediate utility. You have to prove some kind of utility immediately. Against this, Newman is cautioning us. And we can see that because of this, the reduction that has been taken, the reductionist approach has led us to where we are, where there is only a mad rush for certain kind of courses, whether or not they are going to serve the purpose. And this is just very, very small aspect of the entire discussion. So I'm just exemplifying it. Now, this was the modern concept of, what modern means, like in 19th century, how the modern shaping started taking place. Now, when we come to 20th century reflections, we see some add-ons to it. The 20th century confronted with the university with consequences of its own power. Scientific and technical knowledge transformed societies, but it also produced unprecedented risks. In Max Weber's book, Science as a Vocation, he emphasized that scholarship requires responsibility. Science, he says, presupposes not only technical competence, but also an understanding of why knowledge is pursued and how it shapes the world. Similarly, Karl Jaspers, writing after World War II, conceived of the university as a moral community committed to truth within conditions of freedom. For Jaspers, the university's legitimacy lies not in serving power, but in sustaining humanity's capacity for critical self-reflection. These thinkers, as we can see, they underline a very crucial point. The university's task is not limited to producing knowledge. And this has been said many times till now in this discussion. It must also cultivate ethical orientation and public responsibility. Now let us come to 21st century. What is the condition? What distinguishes the 21st century is not technology alone. It's instability. I would rather like to call it instability. Careers are no longer linear. Skills rapidly become obsolete. Information circulates without hierarchy. And as Bauman, Zygmunt Bauman, he described this condition as liquid modernity, in which social forms dissolve faster than individuals can adapt to them. Under these conditions, the university cannot prepare students for stable futures. It must prepare them for what? It must prepare them for navigability, which means the capacity to learn, relearn, judge, and reorient oneself amid uncertainty. Education becomes less about mastery of content and more about cultivating adaptability and discernment. The expectation that university enable livelihood is legitimate and unavoidable. We cannot, ignore that we can survive in some kind of ivory tower. We should not bother about livelihoods. No, it is a legitimate and unavoidable concern. However, as Amartya Sen argues, education should expand capabilities rather than merely provide skills. Capabilities include the freedom to adapt, to reason, to participate in civic life, and to choose meaningful forms of work. From this perspective, intellectual depth is the most durable form of employability. People often think, why to waste time on certain subject? Let us quickly acquire some skills and we'll find an employment. But it has been proven, it is already there, that only a very short term kind of education leads to a career which faces roadblocks. It is not a lasting employability. Therefore, intellectual depth is the most durable form of employability. In volatile economies, those who can think critically, communicate clearly, and judge ethically remain resilient. Livelihood and liberal education are not opposites, they are mutually reinforcing. Then comes another very important component, and that is slow reading. We are all the time talking about fast reading, fast production of degrees, short-term courses, this and that. But I want to talk about slow reading, writing, and thinking in the age of gadgets. One of the most distinctive challenges of the 20th, 21st century is attention. We often say attention span has become very big problem. Digital technologies fragment attention. Digital technologies privilege immediacy and they reward reaction over reflection. If you react, you get views. You ask for views, you ask for likes and dislikes. So, reaction is being rewarded over reflection. In this context, the university performs a counter-cultural function by preserving slow practices. Slow reading is not inefficiency, it is epistemic care. It enables interpretation, contextualization, the judgment. Writing, similarly, must be understood philosophically. Writing is not a mechanical exercise, it should be understood philosophically, not as what it produces, but it is a mode of thinking. Writing is a mode of thinking. To write is to test ideas, clarify relations, assume responsibility for meaning. In this age of predictive text and algorithmic speech, the university must insist that writing and speaking be ethical and intellectual acts. Teaching students to write and speak thoughtfully is therefore not opposite to employability, it is foundational to leadership, citizenship, and self understanding. Then comes mediation. Mediation as the central task of the 21st century university. One of the most important conceptual claims of my discussion is that university at its core is a mediating institution. This mediation has existed throughout the centuries, throughout the history of universities, but the 21st century renders it unavoidable and urgent. What does mediation mean today? Mediation does not mean compromise in the sense of dilution. It means holding together forces that would otherwise tear apart social and intellectual life. The contemporary university must mediate between speed and slowness. Deadlines, semesters, credits, evaluations must coexist with deep reading, sustained argument, and intellectual patience. Employability and formation, which means this is a mediation between employability and formation, wherein preparing students for work while also cultivating their judgment, ethical awareness, and adaptability. Then mediation between technology and humanity, where embracing digital tools while critically examining how they shape attention, memory, and values. And mediation between past and future, preserving intellectual inheritance while preparing students for conditions that cannot yet be predicted. So this mediating function is not an accidental function of university. It is what distinguishes the university from training centers, from platforms, or from corporations. Hannah Arendt, another very important philosopher, captures this responsibility when she writes. She says, education is the point at which we decide whether we love the world enough to take care its responsibility. So for me, the university mediates not by retreating from the world, but by refusing to surrender judgment to immediacy, to urgency. Now look at Indian ideas, for example, Indian thought and the mediation. Indian philosophical traditions have long emphasized on samanvaya, which means the reconciliation of opposites. In this tradition, education is not about choosing between the material and the spiritual, but about understanding their relationship. Mahatma Gandhi, in his reflection on education, insisted that learning must unite head, hand, and heart. He warned against education that produces competence without conscience. This insight aligns closely with the university's mediating role today. The university must not choose between skill and ethics, innovation and inheritance, or the global and the local. It must hold them in productive tension. Why not have productive tension? Why should we run to find a conclusive solution which is very parochial? This is something, let it be there. That tension is productive. Now, I would like to spend a few moments on something which is very close to my heart, and that is writing as thinking. Because this is something I see as a teacher getting gradually eroded in the university cultures across world. So we need to recenter writing in the universities. In the 21st century university, writing is paradoxically everywhere, yet it is increasingly undervalued. Students write assignments, emails, applications, reports, and posts, yet rarely they are taught to understand what writing actually does to thought. The university has historically been one of the few institutions that recognize writing not merely as a skill, but as an epistemic practice, a way of producing, testing, refining your thought, your ideas, your personality, your life, your philosophy. To write is not merely to express what one already knows. ये अक्सर हम लोग definitions में कहते हैं writing is a mode of communication. That is secondary. Writing is actually a mode of reflection. It means it is to discover what one thinks through the resistance of language. Writing forces ideas to slow down. Now, here comes the catch. That is the most important thing. If we write, we are able to think at leisure, think at a certain pace that suits us. Writing forces ideas to slow down, to become accountable, and to submit to structure, sequence, and coherence. In this sense, writing is not an afterthought to learning. It is one of learning's most rigorous forms. Generally, writing is taken as something which records learning. But I am saying that writing is not an afterthought to learning. It is one of learning's most rigorous forms. This insight was already present in classical philosophy. Plato, despite his suspicion of writing as a substitute for living dialogue, recognized that writing compels the thinker to confront the limits of his own clarity. The danger, according to Plato, was not writing itself, but writing detached from reflective responsibility. In the modern university, writing must therefore be reclaimed, not merely as a tool of assessment, but as a mode of intellectual formation, intellectual construction of minds. And writing is also something very important because it resists the speed of the age. The contemporary world privileges urgency, immediacy, quick responses, rapid production, constant visibility. But if we take writing seriously, it resists this logic. It requires revision, hesitation, rereading, and return. It insists that ideas take time. You need not rush. Even the biggest uh, poetic productions. Let us say, for example, Rabindranath Tagore's Gitanjali or T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, these Shakespeare's books. We are fortunate that in our Department of English there is a big picture in our corridor where the manuscripts of these writers exist, where they are doing some rough work. The great poems, the poem for which T.S. Eliot got Nobel Prize, The Wasteland, that poem is there, and on that poem's draft, T.S. Eliot has done cuttings and rewritings and underlines and reworkings. This is so beautiful. It is a mind of human being, on paper. that nothing is final even for great minds. It takes time for the classics, for the masterpieces to come out. And that is something which we must celebrate, because when we talk of kids having problem with attention, elders having problems with attention, what solutions are there? The solution is we hold a pen and paper and we start writing. It slows down that urgency that we feel to express. So this is precisely why writing matters so deeply in the age of gadgets, artificial intelligence, and predictive text. When machines can generate fluent language instantly, the university must ask a more difficult question. And this is the question a university should ask: what kind of writing is worth teaching today? The answer is not efficiency, but intentionality. Universities must focus on long form of argumentative writing, reflective and analytical prose, writing that engages counter arguments, writing that situates the self within history, ethics, and society. And this is not for only humanities students, this is for all the students. We need to write. That is something very important. Such writing cultivates patience, judgment, intellectual humility, which are the qualities that no device can automate. Now, when teachers ask how can teachers be relevant in the age of gadgets and artificial intelligence, if we need to inculcate patience, judgment, and intellectual humility, we don't need to look towards the automations. We have to depend on the human beings called teachers, who are going to facilitate writing. Indian intellectual traditions offer profound insights into ethical dimension of writing and speech. Rabindranath Tagore has written, "The highest education is that which does not merely give us information but makes our life in harmony with all existence." So, in his vision, writing is not a technical exercise, it is a harmonization between thought and feeling. Similarly, other people like Aurobindo Ghosh, they emphasize that writing education should awaken integral consciousness. And if you look at it philosophically, it is about writing. Writing becomes one of the most powerful means of integration, bringing intellect, intuition, and ethical reflection into dialogue. So, to recenter writing in the university is thus to resist superficial fluency and cultivate depth, coherence, and responsibility in our expressions, which are essential not only for scholarship but also for leadership and citizenship. I would like to conclude by saying that the university endures not because it adapts quickly, but because it thinks carefully. Its task is not to compete with the platforms that deliver information faster. We need not bother, as teachers and students and policymakers and administrators. I don't think we should bother that we have to compete with the speed of the gadgets. No, our task is not to compete with platforms that deliver information faster, but to cultivate judgment where speed threatens understanding. To rethink the idea of university in the 21st century is to reaffirm its deepest purpose, enabling societies to pursue livelihood without forfeiting wisdom, to embrace innovation without abandoning reflection, to educate citizens capable of freedom, responsibility, and care. In a restless age, the university remains humanity's most patient institution. That patience, which is disciplined, reflective, and hopeful, it is not weakness, it is the greatest strength. Thank you.
Wow, so impressive and so articulate. So I'm so happy to see AMU still has that much energy. Very engaging, very good. So let's have this concluding remarks, and after that we will have the question answer session. Professor Rizwan Saab?
Yes, sir.
I think before I would like to invite him, I would like to say a few words about a person, like about a scholar, about a visionary
Sure,
who
sure.
extensively done in the area of artificial intelligence, teacher education, and digital humanities. So before uh, he would like to say a few words, I would like to pay respect as he is my teacher as well and a scholar known in the world in his field. So, so Professor Rizwan Khan, with over 36 years of teaching and research experience, has made significant contributions to the field of digital humanities and AI. Teacher education, pedagogy, curriculum development, linguistic imperialism, material production, literary criticism and theory, translation studies, and English language teaching. His innovative approaches to education have been instrumental in shaping modern pedagogical practices. As a former director of AMU's Center for Distance Education and coordinator of the UGC SAP DRS second project on translation studies, he has spearheaded numerous interdisciplinary initiatives and digital advancement in education. Under the Global Initiative of Academic Networks program, he has conducted 3 courses on electronic literature and artificial intelligence, translation subtitles, and culturally empowering teachers, underscoring his commitment to innovative teaching and practices. In addition to his teaching and administrative roles, Professor Khan has served as chairman of the Department of English, director of AMU's Internal Quality Assurance Cell, and convener of the Committees on University Accreditation and Academic Progression. His leadership has been pivotal in advancing AMU's academic and institutional standing. A prolific author, Professor Khan has published extensively with over 50 scholarly articles and book chapters, as well as edited books like Enrich Your Language, Build Your Language, and Improve Your Language, published by Cambridge University Press. These works are recognized as essential resources in English language teaching and digital pedagogy, blending contemporary methodologies with traditional learning framework. His international engagements, both as a teacher and as a visiting fellow, include lectures and training programs in countries such as Italy, Hungary, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and many more, showcasing his global perspective on education. Professor Khan's numerous awards and recognitions, including Royal Society of Arts Assessor Award for Innovation in Teaching and the Indo-Hungarian Educational Exchange Program Award, highlights his commitment to excellence in education. His dynamic leadership, scholarly contributions, and advocacy for digital and pedagogical innovations influence teacher education and curriculum design, bridging traditional and modern paradigms in Indian and global context. As chairperson Department of English, he came forward to implement innovative strategies such as open book examination introduced for the first time at Aligarh Muslim University. Introduction of internship, seminar presentations, project and dissertations, term papers, outreach activities, and many more like diagnostic tests and remedial teaching, introduction of timeline for each semester in the light of academic calendar, major restructuring of undergraduate, postgraduate, and PhD curriculum based on innovative practices like teachers' autonomy, open-ended syllabi, beyond classroom learning, incorporation of ICT, critical thinking, multiple intelligence, Bloom taxonomy, etc. On the campus at AMU, he is also known for his active engagement in the public life. He has been an elected member of the AMU Court in Lecturer Constituency, Joint Secretary, and Secretary of Aligarh Muslim University Teachers Association, and also served as nominated members of Academic Council and AMU Court. So with these few words, I would like to request Rizwan sir to finally give his remarks and expert opinion. Over to you, sir. Thank you so much. Sorry for taking time, but it was my
Good.
duty to say few words.
Thank you so much. At the very outset, I would like to thank Indian Diaspora Washington for inviting me for this talk. And I would also like to thank Professor Vibha Sharma for talking to me about this topic. And I have some points I would like to say, but before that, I would like to respected dignitaries across the world, esteemed colleagues, and dear students. Very good morning in US and a very good evening in India. As we conclude today's deliberations, let me reflect on fundamental questions. Uh, in other way, you can say that I'm going to talk of whatever Professor Varsi and Professor Vibha Sharma has talked of. I will uh, I will talk of how can we do that? How can we talk of for example, Vibha Sharma talked of writing and writing and editing and all those things. So how are you going to do that? So in that perspective, my talk I think it will be important. So what should a university mean in the 21st century? As Varsi Saab has already said, that it is not meant for only degree or a job, or is it something more? It is a space where minds are shaped, values are formed, and society's future is imagined. The phrase, the idea of university, asks what kind of human beings and what kind of society universities should help to create. Traditionally, we believed that the primary role of a university was imparting knowledge. This is most of the people have talked of imparting knowledge. That is one of the basic purpose of education. But today, knowledge is everywhere. It is, on the internet, in open access, open courses, in AI tools, in digital libraries. It is everywhere. Knowledge is everywhere, and that is the reason that the higher education, the best institutions across the world, they don't talk knowledge. They teach in the classroom with some advertisement without telling the knowledge. You cannot say, if you are teaching polity, you don't have to say what is polity means, what does it mean, and you straightway go through some samples, and you analyze it or evaluate it or do something like that. So that makes the students understand. So the question is no longer what to teach, but how we enable students to learn, to think, and to apply. In that sense, mere imparting of information is no longer sufficient, nor even central. Today, that is a very important aspect. And I'm saying this because, for example, if you look at India, most of the educational institutions, be it schools or be it colleges or be it especially colleges and schools, they are in rural area or in rural area or in semi-urban area. So there are they are there. So and there they teach, keeping in mind the aspect of uh, 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 imparting knowledge. So that is a big issue that we need to shift. That is a very important aspect. If we look at the evolution of education, first education was focused on character building, where we talked of integrating values, disciplines, and ethics. Then we shifted to the phase of career building, where employability and skills became the priority. Today, we are moving towards teacher research-oriented teaching, promoting innovation, entrepreneurship, and problem solving. This does not mean that character and career are no longer important. They are important. Rather, a true university integrates all the three: character, career, and creativity. Uh, so what exactly can we think of in the classroom and otherwise? Many institutions still rely heavily on rote learning and exam-oriented teaching. The students often study to score marks rather than to understand ideas. Research culture remains limited in many colleges, and faculty often face heavy teaching loads with little support for innovation. In India, for example, there is a popular saying uh, that in traditional classrooms, uh, teacher teacher talks and sweat, and students uh, sit and listen. But in modern classrooms, students must talk, think, and struggle and sweat. That is, a very important aspect. Uh, uh, I generally tell my colleagues that why are you sweating? Make your students sweat. So that is the aspect which I'm trying to promote here. Lecture-based methods create teacher-centric classrooms where students are passive recipients. But learning happens best when students are active participants. That is why learner talk time is very crucial in the classroom and otherwise also. Activity-based classrooms are essential. Inductive teaching is very important where students discover concepts through examples and problems. It's more important, it's more powerful than simply giving formulas and definitions. So inductive teaching is very important aspect of, in the classroom teaching. The focus must shift from teaching to learning, from coverage of the syllabus to mastery of skills. Generally, teachers think of syllabi, how to complete it, how to. They use the word covering the syllabus. So you cover the syllabus. Metaphorically, you can talk of that. In the above discussion, we suggested that the purpose of education in the 21st century is to develop independent learners, focusing on character, career, and creativity, rather merely imparting memory-based knowledge. There is a well-known concept in education called backwash effect. Students learn what is students learn not what is important, but what is likely to be tested. पूरा जो career होता है ना, that is controlled by what is going to be the questions in the examinations. The students follow that. So if exam tests only memory, students memorize. If exams test application, students learn applying. If exam tests analysis and creativity, students think. So, that is the students follow the exams. So, examination, assessment, and evaluation is the central aspect of classroom teaching. So, they study according to the exams. So, exam questions are very important. Uh, uh, in India, most of the places in engineering, in medical, in law, in arts and social science, in sciences, in social science, and in life sciences, generally we ask questions which is memory based, knowledge based. Describe, define, and discuss. So that is the that determines the preparation by students. They do whatever is asked in the exams. So that is a very important aspect. So that is why Bloom's taxonomy must guide question paper setting, which is there is a layer. You can browse Bloom's taxonomy. It has certain layers. It starts from remembering and understanding. That is the basic layer of Bloom's taxonomy. But if you go up, it says applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Creating means innovation. So assessment should align with learning outcomes, not just syllabus completion. So that is why we thought of open book examinations. Lots of articles are being written on open book examinations also. We must also remember that students are not uniform products of factory. Generally, we talk of students in terms of IQ, low IQ and high IQ. And we neglect the theory of multiple intelligence. Each student is smart. So there is a concept of multiple intelligence. It has negated IQ, the concept of IQ. It says that every individual is smart. And so some is linguistically strong, some is logically inclined, artistically gifted, socially sensitive, physically active, musically talented. These are the aspects of multiple intelligence. And if you, those who have, the senior audience over here, you will see that there were some students who were not nerd. They were not studious, but they were smart. So there you have to understand that every student is smart. There is no low IQ and high IQ. So we have to think of the concept of multiple intelligence. We have to respect students like that, keeping them in some slot. This help in making. So what is the use of multiple intelligence? And we use peer work, and we make groups for various activities, and I am going to talk of that. So there you can make use of the talents of every individual. Generally, we make groups keeping in mind the friends, those who are sitting in one row. No, that should be avoided. We have to select somebody who is linguistically strong, somebody who's logically strong, somebody who's socially sensitive. So that way you can make pairs and groups. And this is not only for classroom teaching, but this is also for evaluation and assessment. Generally, we do practice mid-sem and end-sem exams. Unfortunately, they follow pen and paper written tests. For example, in Indian universities, uh, most of the exams are written, mid-sem and end-sem. It's all written. So that is a very, there is a weakness of the curriculum, and I would like to talk of that. Besides, if we judge everyone only by written exams, we ignore vast range of human potential. Universities must provide diverse platforms for talent expressions, seminars, debates, cultural activities, innovation challenges, and entrepreneurship cells. These things should be a part of curriculum. That is very important aspect, and which will include Bloom's taxonomy, which will include alternative assessment, it will include multiple intelligence, and all these things can be incorporated in classroom for teaching and testing. Because I said that teachers, students look at the tests and accordingly they do their studies. Learning does not stop at the classroom door. Some people say that learning takes place outside the classroom. So that is a very important aspect, and it is true. So true education must include fieldwork, internship, community outreach, projects, industry exposure, and many more. So this is called experiential learning by doing. For these, we can introduce alternative assessment. Alternative assessment is not pen and paper assessment. So you can think of various aspects of this. We can think of that. When students apply theory to real life situations, they develop critical thinking, adaptability, teamwork, and leadership. University must therefore act as bridge between academic knowledge and social reality. Uh, uh, so modern universities emphasize seminar presentations to improve confidence and communication, term papers and projects to build research skill, outreach activities to develop social responsibility, internship to connect education with industry, collaboration and multidisciplinary learning to solve complex problems. Further, the utility of publications and citations, funded projects, patents, startups lies on not only in rankings, but by creating in cultural of innovation and inquiry. A university must be a knowledge creator, not merely knowledge distributor. That is a very important aspect, because nowadays we are thinking of creating knowledge rather than distributing knowledge. Dynamic curriculum and use of technology are very important aspects. In rapidly changing world, curriculum cannot remain static. Hence, we think of having minor and major syllabus revision, industry relevance, inclusion of emerging technologies. We have seen a shift from basic literacy to computer literacy to today's necessity of digital literacy. And today we don't talk of literacy like that. We talk of earlier we talked of computer literacy, and now today we are talking of digital literacy or data literacy. So they are very important aspects, and we have to do something where uh, So that's very important. Technology enabled learning, MOOCs, virtual labs, simulations, blended learning has become an integral part of higher education. Uh, Before Corona, the government of India, for example, said that you should have credit transfer from one university to other university through MOOC courses, and it was 20% credit transfers. Now they have increased it to 40% of credit transfer. So that unfortunately that's not happening in most of the universities in India, but that is we have to do that. Sooner or later we have to do that. Developing life skills and employability are also very important. When classrooms become student-centric and activity-based, we automatically develop communication skills, soft skills, emotional intelligence, problem-solving ability, teamwork, and leadership. Ultimately, education must improve not only employability, but also life capability. To sum it up, I can say that if universities only give information, students succeed in exams. But if universities teach how to learn, how to think, how to adapt, students succeed in life. So that is a very important aspect of training the students, to make them it's our duty. The major part of a university are students. We are there because of students. The idea of a university in the 21st century is not just to produce graduates, but nurture independent, lifelong learners, responsible citizens, innovators, and leaders. Let us therefore work together to build universities that are learner-centric, research-driven, socially engaged, digitally empowered, and deeply human in values. Only then can we truly say that our universities are ready, not just for today, but for the future. Let me conclude with a simple but a powerful proverb. If you give a person a fish, you feed them for a day. But if you teach them how to fish, you feed them for a whole lifetime. Thank you very much.
It's so nice to hear you all three. I mean, today we felt like we are going back in the class with all these very new, fresh ideas which are so much seen here in the West, and we are missing in our time of Aligarh or elsewhere. But it is so refreshing to see that you new teachers are really opening up and thinking so much. Before we go to question and answer session, we have an announcement for the Saturday. Upcoming Saturday is on Urdu literature, and there are three very well-known narrators or intellectuals or scholars who are picking each famous poet, two obviously very famous, and the third one is Amjad Islam Amjad for a diversion from the other two. So stay tuned to that. And now over to Dr. Rafat Hussain for moderating questions session. Rafat.
Thank you, Dr. Raziuddin. It has been absolute pleasure to have three speakers from the alma mater, and it reminds me my old days and the teaching system. So thank you all three, Professor Varsi, Professor Sharma, Professor Khan. It's a wonderful session, and of course it has generated a lot of questions as expected. So there are two ways to ask the question. You can raise your digital hand or show your interest or comment in the chat box, and I will follow both of them, and I will ask in the question the way they appear. So let's begin with the chat box. One question from Nadeem Khan, of course, for Professor Sharma. With the advent and emphasis on online learning, how much significant physical universities will remain in near future? It is generally said excessive discipline and restriction makes a student devoid of ability to dissent. How true it is? So let's begin with Professor Sharma.
Thank you very much. And I think before I start, it is okay if whoever has a better thing to say than me can intervene, because this is a discussion, not a simply one
Yeah.
linear kind of a thing. So I think Nadeem Saab must have posted this question when I had not yet talked about how this particular idea of university needs to fight with is fighting with physical classroom versus virtual classroom thing. So I already talked about that if we actually inherently go with the spirit of university and save it and preserve it, uh, then we will not be threatened by virtual classrooms or digital technologies or anything. Because the idea, and in Rizwan sir also talked about it, that it's not about only acquiring the inputs of knowledge. That for that purpose now students are not going to come to the classrooms. We have to transform it into experiential process. Like if there is an experience in classroom, they will come, they will love it, they remember it, and it will impact them. And my contention is that everywhere outside the classroom, outside the university, there is a speed, there is immediateness, there is a deadline. But universities can create a space within their classrooms through their curriculum, through their credits, through the efforts of teachers, where immediacy, urgency is not required. That is a kind of antidote which every person needs. And once students are learning to enjoy it, the gradual procedure of living with the knowledge, living with the learning system, that gradual process, is a kind of joy. And once you have that joy, I'm sure the students will come back. So, practically speaking, this may sound very lucrative. Okay, कि आपने एक मूक लेक्चर रिकॉर्ड कर दिया और 5 लाख लोग उस लेक्चर को सुन सकते हैं और वो फिर अपनी डिग्री हासिल कर सकते हैं, और इसमें अब आपको यूनिवर्सिटी के कमरे, क्लासरूम, गार्डन, बिल्डिंग्स पे खर्चा करने की जरूरत नहीं है. एक लेक्चर रिकॉर्ड है और आप हमेशा के लिए उसको सुन सकते हैं. बट आई एम क्वाइट श्योर that after conducting virtual classrooms and conducting MOOCs and being a teacher of the physical mode classroom, ये मुझे और अच्छे से समझ में आ गया है कि कोई भी virtual classroom जो है वो इसको threat नहीं कर सकता है.
Vibha, only in English.
Yes. Yes, sir. Sorry. So that cannot challenge
because
it.
there are some.
Because I got it. So this cannot be challenged at all, because some part of everything is digitized, everything is in digital mode. Then where does the physical experience lie? That lies in writing, that lies in thinking, that lies in slowly imagining. And those are the things that a classroom must initiate. And therefore physical classroom will always remain relevant. This is what I feel. Maybe my co-panelists have something to say about it.
That is clear. So let's move on. Thank you, everyone. So another question is from Shahidor, and so he says generative AI now provides an interactive repository for knowledge. This allows anyone to access information specific to topic, often in the proper context. So this serves the traditional education to a large extent. Given this context, how do you think the utility and relevance of the traditional education is being affected? And this question is also for Professor Sharma.
Could you please repeat the last part? I could not hear the
Yeah,
last part.
no problem. So this system is talking about AI versus traditional. So
Yes.
this serves the traditional education to a large extent. Given this
Yes.
context, how do you think the utility of the relevance of traditional education is being affected? That's the main.
See, at the level of structure and tools and technology, we can always evolve. There is, I'm not resisting. And we should not resist to the idea of what tools we are using to disseminate our message. But inherently, it's about why does a university stand for? So that is more important. So when you are talking of artificial intelligence, so there are so many things that have been facilitated by simple tools like ChatGPT, which are generative models, generative AI models, and other things. When these tools are available, many things have become simple, and there is a kind of euphoria around it, that now nobody is going to study. People can write their papers. You can write your thesis. It is not being caught by plagiarism, etc., etc. And why would anybody write at all when such good writing is available? These are, I think, how many years have passed that AI has arrived? It's been only few years. It's too early to write off the physical mode. It's too early to write off human capabilities. How can we even say this? As a human being, who we should understand that human capabilities are much way ahead of it, much more profound than what it appears to be. I think it's a very short phase. It's a euphoria that we are having with artificial intelligence. Human mind is way ahead of it. For example, let me give you a very specific example of how it can be done. It's not in just philosophical terms. Like if you ask the AI ChatGPT to write a paper, what does it do? It processes the information that is available on the internet, the World Wide Web, and wherever it has access, and it creates a very beautiful version of all that collocation of information. But suppose the information which is not available, or any text which is not available online, is beyond the reach of AI. The books that have been not digitized, the ideas that are not available in the form of the digital content, those are beyond the reach of AI. AI
Yeah.
cannot touch those ideas. What about them? And I'm quite sure that even today, although the world is so developed with AI and digitization, I'm not talking of digitalization, I'm talking of digitization. Libraries have been digitized and books have been digitized, but still, the majority of books are not yet present in digital domain. The ideas, therefore, are not yet present in digital domain. The thing is, universities, teachers, students, all of us need to now stop thinking of AI as a tool. We need to think of AI as a process, AI as a change, AI as a shift. So, at a very conceptual level, AI needs to be analyzed. We need to analyze it, assess it, and move ahead of it.
Thank you,
This is my answer.
Professor Sharma. Yeah, this cannot be replaced, of course. Thank you so much. And again, because please be brief, there are so many questions.
Yes, I got it.
Thank you so much.
Sorry.
So next one is from Dr. Shahid Jamil. Should universities use variable input to achieve standard output, or use standardized input towards variable outputs? What model better serves the 21st century, and what are Indian universities doing? Your comment, please.
I'm not sure I've understood the
Okay, let me
question.
repeat. It's a twister. Variable in what should universities use variable inputs to achieve standard output, or use standardized input towards variable outputs?
I think standardization is something that we need to fight back. That was something that I talked all through my discussion, because this straight jacketing and putting things in one kind of framework is actually antithetical to the idea of university. For example, I started from the very basic, it's a very basic and a very basic identity of university that all of us consider is to give credits, to grade students, to find out the failures, toppers, mediocres. That is a standardization that, as Rizwan sir talked, has backwash effect, and that has led to the kind of things that we see, that majority of human gray cells have been ignored because we only need a topper kind of criteria to survive through. So I think the variables should be there in input and output as well. Not just, it cannot be, I would rather like to choose an equation which is created out of the two sides of the two things that have been offered by Shahid Saab.
Okay, thank you. Next question is from Dr. Naushad Khan. What should be the core purpose of the university in the next 2 decades? The question is for you, yes.
In the next 2 decades, the core
What
purpose of universities,
What
the
should be
core
the core
purpose,
purpose of the university in
yes,
the next 2 decades? Simple question.
I
Straightforward.
think it's as simple like, create the ultimate goal should be how human beings can become better version of themselves. uh, Sense of competition needs to be lessened. That has actually killed the whole joy of learning. It has overshadowed. So I think in next 2 decades, there is so much to, so much to do. So much, there is, the platter is very big now. So we can do so many vocations, professions, and now job and professions are not linear. You cannot choose just one path and go for your entire life. You can always go and change direction. So it's not about the placement only, it's not about the campus placement only, it's not about the salary package only, it's about, how strong individuals are we producing. That is going to make the universities very impactful, not just in 2 decades but many more decades to come.
Thank you. There is another question from Naushad Saab. I generally don't cover 2 questions from the same person because of the time constraint, but this is for Rizwan Saab. How do we balance utility and humanistic values in higher education today? How do we balance utility and humanistic values in higher education?
Yeah, as I said, that I talked of certain classroom activities. If the students are trained for that, that will that will balance, that will develop a balance of utility and humanistic value also. Because if you give them a field work, there they experience so many struggles, they struggle a lot. I mean, if you just ask your students to go and interview the vice chancellor, you know and if you make a group of a very studious person, and somebody who is a leader in the class, and somebody who is very talkative, if you make a group, so there they if I mean, meeting the vice chancellor is not so easy. So there they struggle, and there they face lots of difficulty. So there they learn a lot about their emotions, their anger, their and ultimately they achieve the target. They interview the vice chancellor. So that way, there is a process, that makes the balance between utilitarian and humanistic values. So
Thank
it is done by, when they do it, they learn it, and
you.
that makes the balance.
Thank you so much, Professor Khan. Okay, now I would like to invite Ishrat Aziz Saab. Please.
Thank you. I listened to the talks with rapt attention, and I want to congratulate them, especially Professor Sharma for very profound and thought-provoking presentation. I was when she referred to, just let me briefly say that when she referred to T.S. Eliot correcting his poem, probably The Wasteland, innumerable times, I was reminded of my own essay that I wrote for my IAS examination in 1963. I took 1.5 hours to just think over it, draft it, correct it, and the essay was only 2 pages. But obviously, the examiner found those 2 pages worthy of my selection. I have so many questions, so many thoughts. I'll not go into all that. For me, new knowledge only comes from thinking. And AI has a limitation, which is that it can scan all the existing information and thoughts and ideas and come up with something, but it cannot produce new knowledge. Unfortunately, in our educational system faces a dilemma. One is that you must produce professionals, you must produce people who can do work, but it must, unless it produces thinkers, it cannot, knowledge cannot grow. So my question is, some ideas from the speakers, especially Professor Sharma, as to how we can bring about a balance in our educational system at university level or any other level, which can take care of producing professionals, but also at the same time producing thinkers. And just let me add one thing. In my time, I had to take the examination at the end of 2 years in BA final. So during that time, I had a lot of opportunity to think over issues and then write. But I wonder if I would have been able to cope with a test every, month or every every week or on things like that. Because thinking, especially thinking evolves, and it takes time for thinking to evolve. Knowledge can be acquired, but thinking evolves. Thank you.
Any comment or anyone wants to say something?
I think I agree to what has been said, and the worry that how can we create this is the see again I love the word has been used by Rizwan sir, that backwash effect. So if we remove this stress from the classrooms, that they have to compete and excel uh, with each other, then every student will have this relaxed mind where imagination and thinking can be facilitated. So we need to create an environment around the students. We where their thinking is provoked. They are ushered into thinking, ushered into imagining, ushered into writing. It's as simple as that. It doesn't need any kind of big shift. It's small efforts. I think only very small efforts by teachers and policymakers and administrators can make a big thing.
May
Thank
I
you.
may I may I say
Yeah,
something?
please go ahead.
See, I'm a you know I believe in digital humanities, and I believe in AI, and I believe in Chat GPT also, and I make my students use those things in the classroom also to just to facilitate them. But nevertheless, so far as thinking is concerned, it is uh, you know you know it's a problem. If we just jump to Chat GPT, you stop thinking because you get the answer. And that answer is very good for students. I mean, I'm not saying according to teachers, but for them it is very good. So that stops them. It stops their thinking process. So that is why I often say that Chat GPT is a tool. Don't make it your master. You know, so you have to use it as a tool only. But thinking is very important, very important. And sir, I would also like to inform you. I saw right now that you have been the teacher in the English department.
That's
Yeah.
Uh,
correct.
Yep.
That's correct.
we have put a big poster in the corridor of English department where
Yeah.
the edited part of various poems is
Yes.
pasted on the wall.
Hmm.
Yeah, and including Wasteland. And it
Oh,
is
I
pasted
see.
on the wall, and I often see students watching it, taking pictures of that. So I'm
Hmm.
sure that editing is very important aspect of any writing. Even if you write a letter, that there also you have to go for editing. So that's very important, and that comes from thinking. Thank you very much.
So, Rizwan Saab, since we are talking about the thinking, and I don't want to prolong the discussion, so the thinking, the question is at what stage of the life the critical thinking should be encouraged? At the university level, because in the US it is promoted or encouraged even at the elementary level, and they are.
Sure,
So,
sure.
this is the difference between India, even though you are talking about the critical thinking at the university level, will it really work?
No, it should start right from the schools. It should start right from the schools, and that is why I talked of various activities, field work and activities. So that helps them in
Oh,
developing critical ability.
thank you, because there are more questions and we are only 8 minutes left. So there is another question is from Fazal Khan, and so is for panel actually. Although your talk was about idea, which is universal, but I am more concerned about universities. Indian universities lag behind in ranking. How to improve that, and also can you make comment about the administrative structure which can bring improvements in the universities?
I have included,
Dr.
I
and
have
Dr.
included
Fazal
Fazal
Khan
Bhai.
is on the screen now.
Yeah, he should have asked himself.
I
But I
think
already.
Professor Rizwan Khan is the best one to reply because he has been the IQAC coordinator and instrumental in procuring A plus ranking to AMU in the first stage, and he does ranking a lot across the country. So he should answer this question.
Yeah, as I said, sorry, yeah, as I said, that most of the educational institutions in India, they are in rural area or in semi-urban area. And there, these ideas which we were talking of, they have not reached so far. So there's a tough job. Only some, like BHU, AMU, JNU, DU, they are there. But actually, they have parameters. NIRF has parameters, NAC has parameter, and ranking agencies also have parameters. If we follow that, automatically uh, they will improve their ranking. So the problem is when there is a time of accreditation and ranking, then they struggle. After that and before that, they forget everything. So that is a problem. And I'm so happy that NAC accreditation in AMU, it was started in 2005 or something, but nothing happened. Only when Zamiruddin Shah Saab, when he came and he focused on ranking, and we achieved some ranking because of that. So initiative is very important. If the administration focuses on initiative, so they will build their structure also. They will do administrative practices also according to that, because everything is there in the parameters, which is a part of ranking or accreditation. And yeah.
Thank you, Professor
So
Khan. Let's move on because the time is short. And so another question is from Real Me. It has been observed widely by teachers and facilitators that the children of the latest techno generation are not ready to get taught by traditional teachers in class pattern style. My question is how to teach them.
yeah, I mean, we talked of that. That you see, I will give you an example. In your classroom, if you teach a certain poem, they top, they get good scores, good marks. But if you change the questions, if you change the poem, they fall flat. So the idea is that we teach the poem, that particular poem, while the purpose of prescribing a text in the syllabus is not to teach that poem, rather to appreciate the aspect of poetry. So if we teach poetry rather than that poem, they will be that is going to benefit them. So that is the whole idea.
Thank you.
Also, if I want to add a small point to this, the idea, if we look at it in a university level, it sounds like a small question, but in the larger perspective of knowledge acquisition, and it is about theory and application. So application has a shelf life, but theory has no limit, and it may sound less utilitarian. From the utilitarian perspective, it may sound as if it's out of fashion, out of date. But even the best minds of today are called those who are into theory. So we need to find out ways in which we have to create atmosphere around students where they are enjoying the basics of every discipline. It's not just literature, can be physics or mathematics or whatever, but they need to enjoy the theory, and we need to stop associating it with some kind of utilitarian perspective, especially those things which are the foundations of their lifelong learning.
Thank you. So after this comment from Shahid Jamil Saab, I'm going to invite Abdul Jabbar Saab, so be ready. So the Shahid Jamil Saab is again asking, okay, to all panelists to make education. So let's see. I would like the three panelists to reflect on one change they would make at AMU to make education more meaningful. And he's saying that he's not singling out the AMU, this is talking about the system. One change
I have talked about writing a lot, so I would like classrooms to have more of focus on some component of writing in all disciplines, across all disciplines. You see, when we used to take the NET and GRF examination earlier, we were supposed to write an essay. And now that examination is a MCQ based examination. We have lost out writing. There are very few examinations across the world for jobs which have long essays required. We need to bring that back from classrooms to job. So that is one thing, you know.
Any idea, any additional idea, Rizwan sir or Varsi sir?
Yeah, there are lots of things that we can talk of, and I think
Just one. Just one.
yeah.
Which one is the most important?
Just one. One.
Lots of things. We'll talk later on about this.
Okay, thank you. Varsi
About
sir, you
AMU,
want
we'll
to
talk
say
later on.
something?
I would like to add one thing, like everybody is talking about the AI, ChatGPT is taking care of everything. But I would like to, if I get a chance, I would like to minimize the use and let the creativity grow in the classroom. Like, technology are there to support, to make our life easier, to make every context easier, not to overtake, but to support us to do better in life.
Thank you. And my sincere apology, we are going little bit over time. So please, I ask all of you to stay at least 5 more minutes. Abdul Jabbar sir, please go ahead. 5 more minutes for the question and answer and 10 minutes for Dr. Raziuddin. I'm just kidding.
I think my comments really a remarkable session today. It's very dear to me, to my heart, because education, I came out of the poverty from the rural part of Tamil Nadu. I graduated from State University, Madurai Kamaraj University, got my PhD 1979. I came here to the US 45 years ago. It's very important. That's why I read. I also interact with the vice chancellors when I was a student, a leader, because one of the basic needs of the university system, the ground reality of university systems, very different from the idealistic view of the universities. That's what I found out as a student. Now, 1980, 30 years later, 2010, when I was here, I think it's in terms of how the power of politics, money, played a huge role in denting these university systems, at least in the case of state universities, at least in my university. So I think you're talking about idealistic view of things, university systems. How do you go about really changing the culture, individual culture, political culture, also a lot of ways, I think, so a lot of change has to happen. I don't see that for the last 45 years.
Thank you. Okay, so there is another question from Nagma Siddiqui. She seems to be very rational and compromising. She says, I realize whatever discussed today is very early in my study time. I have one question. What is the difference between a very old education system and current and further or future? How it could be merged and polished more, or because you cannot replace one with the other. So she is asking a question, how to bring both together, old and new system, or polish it.
I think we can take both the questions together. The previous question is, yes, the changes may not appear, as you said that Jabbar Saab said that for 45 years nothing has been changing. But I think to feel the change, we need to have some kind of data and analyze it. Although I do feel the change, because it's not like that. Things are changing, but we need to distance ourselves and do a kind of an objective study, which can be done with data and something like that, and then we can find out more impactful ways to optimize the desired impact. The second question is, that things have not been changed. Things were same earlier, and old system and new system. As I said, when I was talking from classical times to 21st century, the idea of university at its core has not changed, but it has evolved. We from under the pressures of time and requirements, so we need to choose, what in what direction should we allow our universities to move as ideational platforms, as ideational centers. Should we succumb under certain pressures? Should we resist certain pressures? That is a choice as society, we need to think. It's not for governments and administrative bodies to make this decision. It's the collective thinking of civil societies to decide what do they want their universities for. It is not a kind of a very philosophical question. It is a very strategic question, and we all need to change the narrative by doing very small things. What questions do we ask about universities in our social media post, in our WhatsApp forwards? Do we ever prioritize the macrocosmic picture? We are worried about small things, but the big things, I think that small things should come from society. That will be a very big help.
Yeah, my opinion is there is nothing like old and new system. This is a evolving system and we need to get adjusted with the time. Okay, thanks. And the last question, Kalam Saab, MA Kalam Saab, please be very brief.
Shukriya. Thanks and congratulations to the three people who have done an excellent job, and it's been quite a learning kind of an experience for me. And one of the things that I would like to talk about is, while we are talking about the university, the ideal picture that's emerging in terms of university as an idea and as a body is that it's a solitary kind of a thing which is there. But the problem which we have is that the people who come to the university, they're coming from a different feeding system. They're coming from schools and colleges where the range is completely different in terms of what they learn there. Therefore, all of a sudden, if we think that we can have a single kind of a model for all these people coming from different universities, and now in India, we have got state universities, private universities, central universities, and deemed and doomed universities, we have a whole range. Therefore, one of the things I think we have to talk about is what happens to these people who are coming from different places. Is there a level playing field which is there? Or the idea of university that we have, does it cater to everybody? That's one of the simplest kind of questions I would pose. The second thing I have is that we are giving too much of importance to the educational system in terms of examinations. Now, the problem with the examinations is that all the examinations that we conduct, whether it's at the school level, college level, or the university level, and let take up just the university level. Somebody has got an MA or an MSc or an MCom. What does that person do? The person applies for something. Now, if you want to go to the UPSC for the IAS and the civil services, all you need is a BA degree. They don't bother whether you have got an MA first class or second class or third class. In fact, most of the people who are in the third class batch, I think they make it better than some of the others who are there. That's one of the things. Now, if you want a scholarship, UGC wants you to write the examination again. Okay, now there is nowhere the degree that we award at the university is honored in itself. Everybody, whether it's the bank or it's a commercial organization of some other kind or anything else that you have, all of them want you to write their own examination. Therefore, we have to rethink as to what the thing. Why not give at the end of 1 year or 2 year or 3 years a certificate saying that these people attended these courses and these were the courses which were required for them to submit, and these are what they have done. And if you want to put in the attendance, attendance has never gained anything for anybody for that matter. Okay, give a certificate saying that this person has completed the course. Now, wherever they go to the bank, they go to the UPSC, they go to some other organization, ISRO, anywhere you go, they have their own exam. So what is it that we are doing in terms of the degrees that we are awarding by saying that we have conducted so many examinations? I have written about it. Of course, there is no response from any of the bodies which are there. I have commented also on the NEP and the other things which are there. But I think we as academics and the others also who are here, the civil society, have to think, what is the utility of the examination that we are conducting? Who is honoring anything? You have a first rank or second rank, and I was at Madras University for 35. One of the things which happened, just 1 second, one of the things which happened was that from the UGC, we had got a letter saying that you are giving first classes and many of the people from your universities are getting ranks and other things. How come they don't qualify for NET and UGC JRF? Now, do we have an answer for that? UGC itself does not recognize the degrees that we are giving in terms of the examination that's conducted. So we have to rethink this whole question of examination on the one hand. And second, the first point that I made was that we have a range of things which are coming up at the university level. People coming from different kinds of backgrounds, regional languages, vernacular languages, and other things. And I don't expect the people, I mean, the panelists to answer this, but we need to think about these things. Thank you very much.
Kamal Saab, we got it because you should have asked much earlier in the game because now we are over time, 10 minutes.
No. I won't ask. I won't expect a reply.
No,
I'm just making my point. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We got it, and we appreciate your comment. And you need to talk each of the speakers or three of them to discuss it further. So thank you very much. Varsi Saab, you want to say something in one sentence?
I mean, I just wanted to say there are several things can be explained about the background that Sir has asked, but like due to paucity of time, like I do not want to go into that, but it is an evolving phenomenon.
Please contact him directly and
yes, that will be nice. You can communicate with them.
Yeah.
All these three panelists have my email and I have corresponded with them.
Yes, Kalam Saab, yes.
Kalam Saab, we can provide you email.
Kalam Saab woke up very late.
That's what I'm saying.
Started very early.
No. I wanted others to say things which they have to say.
Very much appreciated. And we really appreciate your comment and concern. Thank you so much. And that concludes the question and answer session. Once again, to my alma mater, thank you so much, all three professors. And let's hand over to Dr. Raziuddin. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafa. Thank you, all three speakers. Really, it was a very engaging, wonderful session. Most of people have really felt it very clearly and appreciated it. The way the concept has been articulated and the idea, I wish some of it you guys can practice also in the campus. The problem is very late, so we don't want to extend it further. It's very difficult in Indian institutions to apply innovative ideas because most of institutions are very rigidly structured. That's the only one institution which can be labeled somewhat very in the footstep of American institution is JNU, where really they've debated, they discussed, and you know what happened to that. But still, that is the only institution that comes close. If you want to create, the first and foremost condition is open up. You have to give freedom to a student, but that doesn't mean that it becomes chaotic. Here, the very fundamental one thing is very creative. Recently I saw a book fair there in the institution, AMU. Big book fair was going on. That created a lot of energy. Faculty-wise, research exhibitions or creative exhibitions as a competition is big boost in here institutions. They do it. That, department to department, they have some kind of annual research festival or annual writing competition or debate or discussion. That gives them more engagement in constructive way as well as their creativity. You will see the difference. But shutting them really is the problem. Shutting students in universities is the problem because you don't know what is their level of creativity. Open up. As a teacher, you should talk to your administrators and VCs that it is not harmful to give students freedom. They will not be engaged in political, really. They will be more in creative thing. Try on a faculty level, department level. Yeah. My wife is saying that this is too late. We should eat and they should eat too. Really, it is 1:14, almost 2 hours, 15 minutes. Vibha, it was wonderful. I mean, my brother said that it is going to be wonderful. He is not here. This is shame. He is engaged somewhere else, I guess. Probably it is his last day, as I remember. No, Monday is the last day after so many.
26th is
Yes,
his last
he
day.
was
Very
born on 26th January, and and we celebrate Republic Day as well as his birthday both. I mean,
We
he's
celebrated. We had a nice party yesterday at the office.
okay.
Yes.
He is lost in his thought what to do after 40, 50 years at Aligarh. So thank you so much. Thank you all. It was a wonderful, session. It will be on YouTube after a week, I guess. Then soon, how soon it is only up to Faisal to upload and
Yeah,
all.
Rajibhai, a concept paper can be written based on this interview.
And also, yeah, why don't
Because Professor
I think
Sharma
you
can have
should, yeah.
of course, he must have a lot of writings, but this could
Why
be
don't you write it and please get it published in Wire or in
like a concept
National?
paper.
Because it was a very wonderful thing to present. This, I mean, all Indian institutions need this. Every institution need it because it is badly needed. India, in spite of the largest producing degrees, doesn't cannot compete with the Western institution because we have not created students who can think creatively. I mean, their creativity is the problem. Their knowledge is here, but they were not taught, they were not trained in that. It goes from the very early. My grandson goes and looks around for a spider. And one day I killed a spider in his basement. He shouted at me, "Why did you kill it? You're not supposed to kill because you can put it outside. Look at this." So environment friendly, he just immediately corrected me. He's just 6 years old.
Okay,
Very, very good.
so Rajibhai, it is really late over there.
I must say one thing, that
ये लोग हट ही
yes,
नहीं
the
रहे, हम क्या
situation.
करें?
एक बात last की one thing, that although situation is very bad, but I'm happy that whatever I've said and Rizwan sir has said, whatever things have been said, we are able to do most of the things in small manner or big manner. Now
At
the
Ali,
times have changed.
at Aligarh.
Times have changed. Yes, at Aligarh. At
That's
Aligarh.
wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Things are happening. Yes. There's a big difference from the situations that existed, let us say 20 years ago. Now there is that restriction kind of thing is not there because we have, the fluidity of credits. Like our university is one of the first ones to have credit transfer adoption. Like, it's something very important. Although it sounds a very, small step for the Western universities, but it's a big one, which speaks about how things are changing. Like as teachers, we can make our own papers. Any paper I want to teach, I can make a paper. So I teach a paper called critical thinking and writing. It's a paper of writing. It doesn't figure anywhere in the syllabus's requirements, but I teach that because I'm allowed to. So there are things,
Yeah.
yes, things
So
are changing.
Yeah, what we can do, the way I see the audience appreciation, you look like this team can be, you as a team can revisit us after maybe 6 months
We
or
would love
so
to.
and give us a talk number 2 on what really is more like crystallized more, that what really can be done at AMU. You did at the idea of university, universal, not even Indian. But under the Indian condition, we give an example of AMU. That will itself will be for AMU to celebrate, and itself will be its shortcomings also. So that can be that we will be very receptive because a lot of audience are from Aligarh, old Aligarhians. So that will be nice. Under the Indian climate, what Aligarh could do and what still it needs to do. And this as a team, or you can add more panel or restructure as a panel discussion, whatever. But I can say that, in July, August, September, we can revisit this. Vibha,
Sure. That would be great. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
because we really appreciated you.
Yes,
Okay.
that would be great, and there are so many good stories that you would like to hear.
Okay, so now focus on
Success
Aligarh
stories.
as a model. Aligarh is a model for Indian universities. That will be a wonderful thing and a good service to
Exactly.
Aligarh. Yeah, a good service to Aligarh.
Mm.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
Sorry,
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so much once again.
yeah, बहुत
Thank you
भूख
for
लगी
your
होगी.
time and thank you to the audience. Thank you
इसमें
so much.
किसी ने खाना